guys, my name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Whether I'm talking to myself or not, at least I'm getting things off my chest. Right, Alexa, what's the time, please?
The time is 1:09 p.m.
I haven't gone shopping, as you can see. The money that I've given is being used wisely. I've got electric bills, gas bills, water bills to pay. I'm not spending it on clothes, am I? If you spend your bills like council tax on clothes and designer trainers, then you're going to come unstuck, because bills, you know, you tend to get debt collectors coming round to debt collect bills, don't you, where you used to. I don't know what they do now with coronavirus when someone owes money, because I had a debt collector come into my flat for someone else's debt, and he was all tattooed and big, like this. And I said, well, that's not my name, and that person does not live here, and he went away with his tail between his legs. Right, so I'm going for a blood test tomorrow. It's the same place where I went for a blood test, and they found out that me, Crystal, was iron deficient and sent me as an emergency case to the Medway Maritime Hospital over a year ago now for a blood transfusion and 2 iron infusions. I have got A positive blood, I don't mind saying. My mum has got rare blood, and they've taken 4 lots of blood out of my mum at Durrell Gardens, and now they're going to take mine, because I'm not Jennifer, am I? When I went to the hospital, it was a joke. I had needles in my hand and in my arm, about 5 or 6, poking needles in my arms. It was a joke, it was painful. They were talking about the devil being in the works. A gas canister exploded next to my where I was lying down having an infusion. A gas canister exploded. One guy was sat next to me with coronavirus, and he was having oxygen, and the tank exploded near me. These stupid things go on which are reckless and dangerous. It's not funny. Blood test is a blood test, and it's at the Strood Medical Centre, St Mary's Medical Centre, Strood, not St Mary's Island. I've been to this place before where I've had my blood taken, and they found out I was iron deficient. I had a message to my phone about 2 or 3 weeks ago saying that my blood test was due, and I was given 4 or 5 options where to have my blood taken. The Pentagon Centre, Chatham, St Mary's Island, the Halfway Doctor's Surgery, Chatham, where I don't live in Chatham anymore. I'm going to be walking from Rochester to Strood, or this place, which I'm going to tomorrow. So I booked it, and I got reminded again this morning, Denise Highlands, blood tests are painful, they're uncomfortable. My mum's had her blood taken 4 times. 4 times. And they're vampires. I mean, really. I'm 54 and blood tests hurt me, but an elderly lady having blood taken out of her arm 4 times. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going for my blood test tomorrow. It should tell them what stage of menopause I'm in. It should tell them if I'm deficient in something or I've got something wrong with me. The last one came back that I was short of vitamin D, and I got some vitamin D tablets from the Boots Pharmacy, so we'll see. I haven't got any confidence in the Medway Maritime Hospital whatsoever. It seems to be a danger zone. I don't like it. I don't think half of the doctors I've personally seen know what they've been doing. I mean, you've got to remember that there's this cover-up that's been going on. What my dad was doing, he was taking me to places and pretending I was his wife, Jennifer. And he did. He booked me in as his wife at one of the holiday caravan parks. And I had the guts to speak up. And I said to my dad, I'm not your wife, I'm your daughter. And he shouted out, shut up. And, you know, I had to do as I was told. My father was a 6'2" man and I'm 5'5". And, you know, the supermarkets, Tesco's, were all in on it. The supermarkets, the police, the hospitals, were all in on what my dad was doing to me and making out I was his wife. And I will say that now. He was making out I was his wife. And he was abusing me. And that I'd rung police and they hadn't done anything. One police officer, if they were a real police officer, said perhaps he's not your real dad. I can say it now, he's dead. Derek's dead. I want to tell you something else that my dad did. My dad loved cars, so did the royal family. King Charles loves his classic cars. He's a collector and a connoisseur of classic cars, King Charles is. Well, my dad kept buying cars. And for a man that wasn't supposed to have much money, he bought a £2,000 Alfa Romeo with electric windows from a guy in Dover, because I went with him when he went to the Halifax, withdrew £2,000 in £50 notes and took me to Dover to buy this Alfa Romeo from a guy in Dover. So Dad liked to go to Dover. He went there quite a lot to buy cars, Land Rovers, Alfa Romeos, and to take me on holiday with him. 3 out of 4 of the places had pictures of Charles in the magazines and in the newspapers. One he was driving a steam train, one he was somewhere else, and he was on the telly in another holiday home my dad took me to. He was on the television, he was on BBC TV, Charles was. I'm just saying what happened and what I saw. I mean, I think we're entitled to do that. Whoever's involved, you should be able to tell your story without being in fear of your life. So, one day Dad said to me, we're going to Cliff. Cliff. In Kent, there's a place called Cliff. C-L-I-F-F-E. Not Cliff Richard. He was going to take me to Cliff. So me and my dad went on the bus to Cliff. And there was all old people on the bus. I remember writing about it in my diary. I was the only person under 65 on that bus. And I was, you know, you could see I wasn't an old lady. I had a mini skirt on, I had tights, I had boots, and I had long hair then, long curly copper coloured hair. So you could see I wasn't his wife for a fucking start. So I was on this bus with elderly people, sat next to my dad, and we got off on the last stop of the bus at Cliff, near this pub. There's a pub at Cliff, and apparently the proprietor was called Les Dennis. Les Dennis. Now my dad used to call my mum an old trout, a lesbian, an old hag, a bitch. And there was I with my long copper curly hair, mini skirt on, thick tights, boots. I didn't look like an old trout or anything like that. So Dad took me into the pub and he chatted to Les Dennis. Nothing like the blonde-haired comedian at all, just the proprietor of the pub, Mr. Les Dennis. No word of a lie, that's truth. Dad was going going to buy a white van off of Les Dennis. So while my dad and the proprietor of the pub talked to each other, signed contracts, and Dad handed over money, I was told to wait by 2 Labrador dogs. One large fat black one large fat brown one, and they kept sniffing my bottom, sniffing my bum. So I played with the dogs outside, and nobody spoke to me. Nobody spoke to me at all apart from my dad. The owners of the pub never spoke to me. I was ignored. Dad paid for the van and we went outside, and it was a monstrosity. It was a white van with Monster Energy drink all in green all over it. And there was no back seats. It was a dog cage. It's where Les Dennis must have kept his dog, in the back of the van. So there was a passenger seat, a driver's seat, and then this cage at the back of the vehicle. Right? Dad drove me home, showed the car to Mum, and my mum had an appointment at the Medway Maritime Hospital. I don't know whether it was for a thyroid or goiter. She had to go to the Medway Maritime Hospital. And it wasn't my dad that took my mum to the pub in Cliff. I was in the passenger seat with my dad when he took me to the pub in Cliff. My mum didn't go. So my mum sat in the passenger seat and she said, "You can sit in the back." My mum did. She grabbed the passenger seat open, got in it. Dad got in the driving seat, and I was put in the dog cage area. The dog cage area. And I sat in the back of the vehicle in a dog cage while my mum and dad went into the hospital. And I think I'd been given some crisps and a bottle of water to drink in the back of the car. The Monster Energy drink van. So that was Cliff. My mum never went to these holiday places, and they were posh. One had a horse stable, a big horse stable. Somebody with lots of money you're dealing with here. My dad, £2,000 buying an Alfa Romeo. Yes. So, all these places need investigating. All Hallows, Broman's Barn, this place at Who St Werborough, where this woman gave my dad a room in like a chalet cottage. And there's other places, all posh, expensive ornaments. The one in Dover was absolutely expensive ornaments all over the property. One woman was really rude to me. I think it was it Mersey Island? Dad took me somewhere, and this woman had a blue Beetle, brand new Beetle, and she was a funny, ugly version of me. She was older than me, with a great big hook nose, black hair, thick glasses, and she completely ignored me and spoke to my dad. And she got my dad a birthday cake, because he took me to one of these places on his birthday. We spent a week there together, and I was forced to do things I didn't want to do. But you're looking at really someone with a lot of money here. No wonder they want to run me over on the pavement. See you later.